What's going on, everyone? So, Dewey Riley is slated to return in the upcoming Scream 7. Courtney Cox pushed really hard, and based on reports, she was a real catalyst in David Arquette's return. That, yes, they are no longer together romantically, but they still have a really good friendship, and she looks at this as, family, right? Like, this is what she's grown up with in many ways, right? So, makes sense that she would want David Arquette involved. I mean, even back in Scream 5, when they decided to kill Dewey off, supposedly there were, some petition from Gale Weathers and, Nev Campbell. Not like petitions in the sense of sign, but just like, hey, we don't really like this idea. But ultimately, they ended up doing it. But with David Arquette returning and Dewey back, the question becomes what capacity, right? So, like, Stu Macher is expected to return. Roman Bridger, right? Got some rumors and conversations, or not even rumors at this point, it's been confirmed that some of the killers of the past are returning. You have some rumors on some other ones like Jill and Mickey and some of these others. But that is easy to kind of explain, right? I know a lot of people think Stu Macher is going to make a return and he's going to be the mastermind, and maybe he is, right? But even if he's not, how is, Roman and all these other killers return? Well, we saw, Ghostface changer, voice changer in Scream 3. They could easily bring that back. Boom, easy explanation. Or maybe do a flashback scene with like Billy, Stu, and Roman. There's a million things that you could do that can make sense from the killer's return element, particularly that voice changer, right? The voice changer would be because we don't know if they're back just in their voices, if we're actually going to get to see their face, if we're actually going to get to see them in any capacity on film, or if it's just, again, it's just going to be, the voiceover. Supposedly there's some deep fake stuff, but point is, that is easier to explain than Dewey return, who we saw literally get gutted, right? Like front to back. I don't think he's just walking that one off. Now, look, we're all accustomed to Dewey, right? Just getting a stab and pause, right? Like, and him just giving the thumbs up at the end, right? We're all used to that. But usually it's like, one or two pokes in the back, and then he's just like, or, like the butt of the knife ends up, blunting him in the forehead, and that's that, and he moves on, right? Like, gives thumbs up and he's good. I mean, what happened to him, was, I can't even really say on YouTube camera because I get in trouble, right? Like, so I don't want to, I don't imagine that we're going to see Dewey just walk through the door all like, stitched up and like, hey guys, we're good. So do they retcon it? Right? Do they go that extreme? Do they just say like, hey, you know what? Like, let's just pretend like that didn't happen? So then do you just completely disregard Scream 5? Right? Like, I don't think so, right? This is supposed to be a continuation. This is supposed to be a continued story. You also have the core 4, right? Like, so I don't think, or not the core 4, but you have 2 of the core 4, right? Like, so you can't just like pretend like Scream 5 and 6 never happened because Chad and Mindy are returning, right? So I don't see that approach happening. Okay, so then is it a simple flashback? Maybe. Could it be, like a memory from Gale, right? Maybe Gale just has this flashback or this memory of Dewey. Maybe it's like a deep fake thing, right? Maybe Ghostface does do some deep fake thing and you see Dewey talking to Gale, and that's kind of how Ghostface manipulates and kind of messes with Gale. Like, that could be a possibility, right? My guess is that it's either a flashback or like a memory, right? Some type of dream sequence or something. It's something that, has always kind of been talked about. It's something that's always been kind of floated around when in Scream, right? Like, are they going to do a flashback for this? Are they going to do this? Or are they going to do that? And then, we haven't gotten that yet, but I think like this would be as good of a time as any, right? Maybe it's just some scene that's filmed with, Dewey and Gale or some phone conversation or something, right? Like, there's a lot of ways that you can kind of, get creative with Dewey, but like Stu, like I still don't think Stu's alive, but as much of a stretch as I think it would be to kind of bring him back after 30 years, it's still not as big of a stretch as Dewey returning when we literally watched him get disemboweled, right? Like, it wasn't something where, like, he just got poked a couple times and that was it. And we could just, hey, just walk it off. You're good. Like, hey, here, take a couple shots. You'll be fine, right? Like, dust it off. No, like, it's not, you can't do that. It's nothing like that. You have to, he got tore up pretty badly, right? So I don't see him just walking or limping away from that like all is fine. So I'm really curious, how are they going to approach the return of Dewey Riley? How are they going to look to bring him and get him involved and get him to be a main fixture again, if possible? Like I said, do they just completely ignore, because again, you can't ignore Scream 5 and 6, right? You just can't. But you could, technically, if you wanted to, you could ignore maybe Scream 5, right? But the problem is, like, Scream 6, a lot of it is about what happened in Scream 5. A lot of it is about, them being attacked in Scream 5, especially the Sam and Tara dialogue, the Sam and Tara story, right? So, like, you can't have, like, when they have entire dialogue and scenes about, Sam and Tara are fighting over Sam being too overbearing because of what happened a year ago, right? Like, so you can't just completely brush it off and ignore it. So how do you make that work? How do you make that make sense and bring Dewey back? And how are you going to be able to continue to bring Dewey back, right? Because Gail, Courtney Cox, like, she wants Dewey to still be a part of this, or David Arquette to still be a part of this, and him to still be in the fold. Like, that's great, but, like, so what? You're just gonna have a Dewey flashback every movie, right? Like, I think at some point you're kind of like, okay, it's it's time to move on. I do think personally, and I said this after they did it in Scream 5, that, like, it's in their best interest not to keep going back to it. You did what you did, right? Some people are okay with it. Some people still aren't happy with it. I understand it. I get it. Like, talked about it even, back then. Right? Like, I think it was necessary because I think they needed to kind of set the tone and standard. The problem was Scream 6 decided, hey, we're just going to make it all sunshines and rainbows and absolute butterflies. And there were no stakes. And that was a big problem. So I'm really hoping that they don't kind of go back and try to change things, right? Kind of move forward. If you want to kind of have this film, have a flashback, have a little callback or whatever. I'm sure that they've figured it out, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? How do you think Dewey returns? How do you want to see Dewey return? In what capacity? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.